Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brimstone Coaching Podcast. My name is Kurt Busch. I am one of the founders and one of the coaches here at Brimstone Coaching Group. I'm here with co-founder and coach Chris Godfredson. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Doing really well today, Kurt. It's good to be able to hang out for a while.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. So today we want to talk about our transformational equation again, which listeners that have been with us for a while would know that we talked about this a short time ago. But if you are joining us now for the first time, maybe go back and find the episode where we talk about the transformational equation. And we're going to talk about it a little bit differently today. We're going to talk about this being a tool that helps us evaluate our
Mm.
lives, evaluate our leadership, evaluate the progress that we're making in our own journey. Maybe for the sake of the listener, Chris, what is the transformational equation?
Well, that's the question you asked, and you didn't start with the more difficult one today. This is a softball that I can still swing at and hit. It feels pretty good. The transformational equation at Brimstone Coaching Group is simply this: encounter plus reflection equals transformation. And here's what I want to say about encounters, right? And so, oftentimes, I think we have dozens of experiences every day, sometimes hundreds of experiences every day. But when we use and we think about encounters, it's like these things are experiences that normally surprise us or shock us or catch us off
Mm,
guard.
mm,
And so there's great value in understanding that I just had an encounter. And because I've had that encounter, what happened in it? What
yeah,
did I do? What didn't I do? How did I show up or behave? And
yeah.
the equation is pretty powerful. Transformation happens when we actually make and take the time to reflect on those shocking, surprising, terrifying encounters that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, and we would say that we really believe that this equation is the closest thing to a secret sauce or a silver bullet that we
Mm,
can give people.
yeah.
We say all the time, transformation is a long, slow journey over time,
Yes.
and this equation feels like the closest thing we can give people to say, work this in your life,
Mm,
and it will lead to transformation,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree. It's the closest thing we have to a sure thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we introduced this some time ago with this sort of umbrella view or this umbrella approach to say that this falls into this tool bag that we
Mhm.
want to offer leaders, especially leaders who feel maybe like they're limited in their own growth or limited in their own leadership, or leaders who feel like they've tried everything they know how to try and they're still kind of bumping up against this invisible glass ceiling in what they know how to do.
Yeah.
We offered this as a tool to say, this is some internal work to say, how do we get more curious about the
Yeah.
things that we experience as leaders? And we've been kind of packaging all of this since last quarter, Chris, in this package
Yeah.
of here are some practices that leaders can engage in to invest in their own growth, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do today is maybe, I don't know, maybe hit pause for a second and say, like,
Mm,
let's use this as a way to evaluate progress. Um,
yeah.
we talked, I think it was 2 episodes ago, we talked about preferred promises,
Mm-hmm.
inviting ourselves and leaders to decide and name and declare how they want to show up in the world,
Hmm.
how they want to show up in hard meetings, how they want to show up in employee conversations that can be difficult,
Right.
or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. And I don't know about you, Chris, but I think sometimes what I feel is that it can be easy to make a preferred promise. It can be easy to, um, decide how I want to show up. It can be easy to identify and name obstacles to my own leadership, my own growth. It can
Mhm.
be easy to name those things. But then if I'm not careful, I can kind of fall back into just this default pattern with no evaluation to see how it's going.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I think you can push on this if you want. I actually think this is probably a pretty common experience that leaders would share, um,
Yeah.
because the pace of life is so fast, because the pace of work is so fast,
Yeah. Right.
that we can forget to evaluate. We can forget to stop and work this
Yeah.
equation to say, how am I doing?
Right. This is the reason that we give the invitation to to carve out time for reflection in the first place. Right.
Yeah,
But I mean, I think you're creating an opportunity today, which I really appreciate in that. Let's not just fall back into, okay, am I using the preferred promise or not? But what's its effectiveness?
yeah,
You know, it useful? Is it working? Like, are the encounters that I'm having uh, impacting me in such a way that I'm not living into or out of? And I think we can even go so far as to say, what's the impact on the organization or the people that I'm engaging with when we spend time in reflecting on those encounters. So yeah,
yeah.
as I think about that, yeah, what I'm curious about is what would you say today um, about the way in which like maybe you would implement this if you were to uh, to either be doing it yourself or to encourage a team.
Yeah, Chris, I'm smiling because I have a question right here, and it
Mm,
was about to come out to you, and you beat me to it, and I knew it was
you're
happening.
welcome.
I knew it was
I
happening,
saw
and
the
you
smirk and
you
I
knew it
just
was
had to
happening.
keep going. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think this is a great question, because the reality is that, when we invited, well, I'll just speak for me. When someone invited me first to reflect, years ago, to make this a habit that I regularly engaged in, this was not normal for me. Like, this was not a default practice for me.
Yeah.
Um, and when I first learned how to do this, I might do it for a little bit. I would get kind of set how I wanted to be, and then I would live that out, and I would just kind of assume I was living it out, and I wouldn't really come back and reflect, because I had done that once, right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
I had
Yep.
reflected, and I came to this
Yeah.
solution of, here's how I want to be. So the reflection is over. And
Right.
I think what Kurt of today would say,
Mm,
that reflection is never over. And,
mm,
and that's the actual, like, that's the gift to me, and that's the
right.
gift to my teams that
Yeah.
I might have a chance to lead,
Yeah.
is that reflection really is, something that sort of keeps me sharp, that sort of keeps me aligned with the ways that I've said I wanted to be,
Mhm.
um, and keeps me moving forward versus
Yeah.
kind of drifting back into old
Mm,
patterns. Um, I think what I heard you ask is, how do you implement this, is what I
yeah.
heard you ask.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I think for me, it has to be intentional time in my calendar to reflect.
Mm, yep.
Um, I wish I could tell you, Chris, right now, I wish I could tell you I have an entry in my calendar that says reflection.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. But I do try to keep my calendar open enough, in certain times or certain days. Um, I like to keep some of that noontime space open for me. Like, that's kind of
Yep.
when I can kind of
Sure.
look back on
Yeah.
previous days. So I think some sort of intentional plan, whether
Mm,
you know whether it's keeping a certain time of day open, or keeping a certain day of the week open, or whatever it is, keeping some space
yeah.
for that to be able to happen. I also think some level of intentionality of how I'm going to reflect and what I'm going to reflect on.
Yeah.
Um, Reflection is a broad term.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. I particularly like to ask the question, how was my last 24 hours?
Mm,
Where was I misaligned? Where did I not show up the way I wanted to?
mm.
But I also like to ask, where did I show up the way I wanted to?
Yes, sir.
Um, just the other day, I had a chance to reflect on, a way I showed up with another human in a sort of
Hmm.
pseudo social
Hmm.
space. And I could reflect back and say I showed up exactly how I wanted to in that scenario. But this isn't just about where did I fumble the ball.
Yeah,
This is
right.
also about affirming how I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, we have to celebrate the wins. We have to because I mean, they're not perhaps as frequent or as focused on as the losses are or the misses. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. What? How would you answer that question?
Yeah. I mean, you always are supposed to be ready to answer your own question, right? And I just wonder if this would be helpful. Like there's a potential case study or two that we could just walk through right now. And I mean, I'm happy to let you coach me through it. I wanted to talk about, like, I wanted to bring up, we work with a group of people recently, and like when we reflect on that experience, I wonder about it. But when we logged in to the call today, you said, "How are you doing?" I said,
Yeah,
eh, kind of mid. And
yeah,
the reason was like a thing I was leading didn't go exactly the way I'd hoped that it would go. And when I'm reflecting on that, like I have a preferred promise that that around leadership that says I lead with authenticity, integrity, and courage. That makes me a person worth following.
yeah,
But like, and so I can lead with authenticity, integrity, and courage. I do that. And like some things that I was responsible for were connected to another human being
yeah,
in this particular thing I'm leading. And the reality is like it, I was cringing the whole time,
yeah,
and
yeah,
all kinds of things were stirred up in me.
yeah,
And when I reflect on that, I mean, the reflection that I'm engaging in right now
yeah,
in this banter
yeah,
is I think I was okay, but like in real time in presentation when I'm presenting content, I felt hurried and
yeah,
rushed,
yeah,
and I wasn't as, I don't know, I didn't feel as good about what it was that I had to share with this group of people
yeah,
as
yeah,
I sometimes do.
yeah,
And that's not right or wrong or good or bad.
yeah,
It just is.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, can I ask a couple questions
Hmm.
about that
Yeah, do it.
scenario?
Yep.
So, yeah, so you shared this with me. I think the key in this conversation is there is another human involved, right?
Yeah,
And that does always make things a little bit harder,
it
um,
does.
because we
Yes.
can't control other humans.
Right. Yep.
Um, so I'm curious if I asked you last week before
Mhm.
this experience happened, before this encounter
Yeah.
happened, where something was out of your control and it wasn't going the way you wished it would go.
Yeah.
If I asked you, hey Chris, in this scenario where this exact thing is going to happen, how do you want to show up? Like how would you
Mm.
have answered that last week before this scenario?
It's a great question. I think I would have wanted to, I think I would have said that I want to show up prepared. I want to come across as thoughtful and
Mm,
thorough, and like I had my ducks in a row.
mm, yeah,
And I think what was true about some of that is in the disjointedness of the day, that didn't happen.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Not to the degree that I anticipate or I desired going in.
yeah,
Does that make
yeah,
sense? It's
I,
not that it's not that it was a, like I swung and missed and like I put the ball in play,
yeah,
but I didn't, I did not feel as good about the way I showed up as I would want to. I don't know if I managed all of the things I was thinking and feeling in real time the way
yeah,
I want to as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really important and clear distinction to
Yeah.
say. Yeah. Um, you said you want to have your ducks in a row. What are the ducks? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that I would have all the necessary conversations
Mm,
that everything, when other people are involved, I think there's times that I take people for granted that
mm,
they know what I expect.
yeah.
And so my reflection, this is what's happening to me right now, is just because we're talking about it. It's like I did not say clearly, here we have to do this, that, and the other thing.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
expecting this today. And like, and nor did I give feedback after the fact. Now, there's all kinds of reasons that that didn't happen.
Yeah.
One, we completed the project and that person was out the door and gone before I even had a chance to get to them. But
Yeah.
there's also something in me that just, I don't know, feels like I've had this conversation once or twice previously. I kind of get the same thing over and over again. And
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, there's a word for that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are some hard conversations
Yeah. Yeah.
that I think need to take place. And um, yeah, I want to be willing to do it. And quite honestly, when I'm thinking about this situation, I wouldn't have done it even if uh, they were still present after the
Yeah.
fact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think there is something important about saying, now's not the right time. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
you and I have experienced very similar things. I feel a lot of resonance here, and I think what I would say is like sometimes in those moments where these things
Yeah,
happen, like I'm not best prepared to have that conversation right now.
yeah, yep,
Like I'm
yep,
still a little stirred up.
yeah, right.
Um,
And so
do
I think for me, even as I'm saying that, like I can take time and I can think, and then I can reach out and say, hey, like we need to come together and reflect on
yeah,
this on our presentation.
yeah,
And in that, I can just give feedback, or I can say, I can present the example and say, I would like to meet and talk about this.
yeah,
This is the piece where I experienced some tension or some difficulty, and I want you to know ahead of time so that when we come together, we can have honest conversation about what happened,
yeah,
where things were amiss, and
yeah,
where it went smoothly. Does that make sense? I mean, I because
yeah,
I think in my best thinking, so that wouldn't have happened.
yes,
If I'm stirred up, I could just run over you. Uh,
yeah,
and so now as I think about it, I'm like, no, like, yeah, I can allow the other person to have the opportunity to come prepared too. And
yeah,
I think that is the better version of me leading
yeah.
in scenarios like this.
I think that's so good. I mean, I think what you just said feels so compassionate to the other
Mm,
person, right? I mean, I think
mm.
there is a mental model of leadership that says, I mean, not a mental model that I want to agree with, but
Well,
I think there
right.
is a mental model that says you are the leader, you have the authority to tell this
Yes.
person, here's all the
Right.
places you screwed up,
Yeah.
and I want you to know that you kind of suck, you know?
Right. Yep.
But I think the way you said that, like, uh, I want to give them the chance to come be prepared. I just want to like snaps
Well, I
on
mean,
that one.
yeah, I mean, I hate it because what I think initially when we log in, you say, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm frustrated,"
Yeah,
and even because I see your face, I know, like I'm reminded. Uh, the problem isn't out there.
yeah, yeah,
It's like I play a critical part in the results I'm getting,
Yeah.
And really the only thing I can control is me. But I also like took a couple things for granted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did not, and I have not. That's why I keep getting the same results. I have not like really given a given all of the parameters, all of the feedback in a way then that makes an invitation to this other person to say, now here are the things that I expect.
Yeah.
And here's what I desire because I want us both to feel successful.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel successful, uh, help me understand how I can help you feel successful.
Yeah.
Or if you can't do this, thanks, but I'll look for someone else to partner with in this
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah. I mean, this is like leadership 101. Like you are bringing it today. I mean,
Well, by way of, yeah, through failure, right? Through missing it. I mean, to a
sure.
degree, right?
Yeah.
And this is why, this is why I need coaching, right? Is to say, to just simply like to help me get clear
Yeah.
on the process of reflecting on an experience that wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And most of the people who were present for the presentation had no idea
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
there was an issue. It's something in me, right? It's alive in me. And there's, oh,
Yeah.
and, and like I have high standards for the way in which we do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also am responsible for making sure that other people are crystal clear on what my expectations of them are. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, miss.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't know, like if this was you and me, just without anybody listening, I'm not sure this is the question I would ask you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to ask this question for the sake of like getting to look into a
Yeah,
coaching
this is the communal
scenario.
learning. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you know the answer, so I'm going to ask it even though I think you know it. You mentioned just now like some of these things that you didn't name as expectations or that you wanted out of this person in order for the final product to be what you hoped it would be. You just said that, maybe nobody else even noticed that
Yeah.
maybe this is just you and your standards not being
Hmm.
met, which is enough. Like I maybe don't want to downplay that. Like
Yeah.
your standards are like you get to uphold
They
your
are what
standards.
they are.
They
Yeah.
are what they are. Um, that said, do you know what the threat in that moment is? Like you said, you were maybe a little hurried,
Hmm.
maybe a
Yep.
little distracted. Like what was the threat in that moment that you were feeling?
It's always tied to, I mean, I laugh because it's the uncomfortable piece and it's
Yeah,
just, it's the thing that says you're going to think somebody in the room,
yeah,
there's a risk that somebody who's taking all of this experience in is going to think or find out that I suck.
yeah,
Now I can say like it's okay and I'm okay.
yeah,
And I believed, I do think that that occurred, and I just felt a little hurried.
yeah,
And it just
yeah,
because it's like, oh, maybe there's a part of me is like, can I hurry up and get this over with?
yeah,
um,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, just this deep fear, and so it's true, right? I mean, that this is the power of the purposeful and the preferred promise to deal with that protective one that says, I'm just gonna like,
yeah,
I'll do any number of things to protect myself from feeling that.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
the power is to say, okay, um, I actually am okay.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe if most people aren't even aware that that was a problem or that I had anything to do with it,
yeah, yeah,
uh, they're not going to think that. But
yeah,
I think the thing that I want to celebrate in this is that um, I'm taking full responsibility for the presentation.
yeah, yeah.
And there was a time, and oh boy, wow.
Bring it, bring it.
Well, there was a time when I would have blamed. and not taking responsibility. Well, that's
Yeah.
their problem. That's
Yeah.
their fault. And
Yeah.
because that happened, uh, you know, I would throw them under the bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not willing to do that any longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so yeah, I mean, that you'll ask the question often, which I appreciate. You ask yourself the question uh, when you ask yourself what's the threat, you'll say, well, what's actually true?
Yeah.
And I think what's actually true is people had a good experience. That's the feedback I've gotten, uh, and uh, and I know,
Yeah.
I know that something was amiss, and because of that, is like I was shocked by it in the moment. I was
Yeah.
surprised, angered even,
Yeah.
and and then I behaved not exactly the way I want to.
Yeah.
And don't hear me saying that I want to be perfect. That's not in my capability. That's not my skill set. But I do want to manage my thoughts and feelings. And quite honestly, it's like uh, the whole conversation makes me tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like when it just isn't quite the way we want, we leave it exhausted,
Yeah. Yeah.
frustrated, overloaded, right? And
Yeah.
leaders experience this all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we exist as a coaching practice, because like
Yeah.
in all the things that we do, I want to feel content and fulfilled and whole. I don't want to be other than
Yeah.
that. And so I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, this I don't think was the intent when we launched in today, but
Yeah.
I think there's some power in the reflecting
Yeah.
on this particular encounter. But
Yeah.
like, um, I don't know. I don't know how we are on time. If you feel like it taking a break, but maybe there's an opportunity to talk about a thing that went well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to draw something out there for a second
Hmm.
because, I mean, number one, the way you talk about creating a successful experience for this person, just
Hmm.
as much as creating a successful experience for you, is something I want to pull out.
Hmm.
But I mean, I think when I think about your preferred promise about leading with integrity and authenticity, we named the mental model that says I'm going to just railroad over this person and make the problem completely out there.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a potential for the opposite as well to say, well, this happened, and I guess I'm just going to have to lower my standards, or
Yeah.
or this happened, and I guess I'm just going to have to deal with it, and not have the honest, authentic
Yeah.
conversation, and maybe even still accept responsibility, but then say, I can't talk to this person and tell them, what happened, what your experience was, what your expectations are. There's probably a segment of listeners that hear this and say, boy, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's too hard.
Hmm.
Even if they accept responsibility for themselves in this scenario, even naming, hey, I didn't give you this expectation, here's the expectation I want, might feel like a bridge too far. So I think maybe what struck me is like that could be a barrier for people too, to say,
Yeah.
even if we own it, even if we take responsibility, like,
Yeah.
boy, there's a risk in
Yeah.
saying
For
to
sure.
in this case, saying to a volunteer, hey, I expected something different, and I didn't tell you, but now I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Yep.
I think maybe that just struck me as like those are the
Mm.
two poles here, and both of those feel equally. I want to use a gentle word, equally not aligned with our whole selves, right?
Yeah.
Both of
Yeah.
those feel like hiding
They're
in
equally
some way.
challenging to
Yeah,
engage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or to accept, allow to continue. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, there is something at stake.
yeah,
Either way, right? On either pole, there's something at stake. If if I'm unwilling to have the conversation, well, I'm going to continue to be frustrated.
Yeah.
If I have the
Yeah.
conversation and
Yeah.
they can't receive it for any number of reasons, or they quit, they stop engaging with me, or they just totally cut off. I mean, yeah, there's relational
Yeah.
risk in
Yeah.
all of these things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think every leader gets to decide who and how they want to be, how they want to behave, what the standard is, what the metrics
Yeah.
are. And um, yeah, I think I've just gotten to the point where, um, and you and I would, I think, agree, being our truest selves is the mark, is the
Yeah.
standard. And
Yeah.
so when that's true, uh, we hold excellence. We don't have it as defined as a guiding principle, but we do hold excellence as a high value.
Yeah.
So every time I'm presenting with to and with people, I want the experience to be excellent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anything less than that, we have to, I mean, we have to evaluate.
Yeah. 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 Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, I
Um,
suppose.
and and then we'll take a break.
Okay.
Um, again, your preferred promise is that you lead with integrity, authenticity. I forget how the rest goes. Those two words stand out. Um, so what now?
Yeah. I think I've already said it,
I think so too.
but I what I think now is I want to get clear on where I missed the mark,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then how I believe that that may have not set up the others who are involved in presentation for success.
Yeah.
And because I did not like mandate or say here are the things, one, two, three, here are the things that I want to see you do, I'm inviting you to do, with the understanding that excellence is a value. Like, I'm inviting you into this, and I need you to do this for it to be what we together
Yeah.
want people to experience.
Yeah.
And that has been the case, that is the case, that's going to continue to be the case. And like, and then allow them an opportunity to sit with it, and then have a
Yeah.
meeting and to process and to respond.
Yeah.
And then there's an invitation that's okay, because I want to continue to do things with you. But if you're unable or unwilling to do those steps, well, then that's another conversation, right?
Yeah. 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 That's the leadership piece. I mean, I think in all this, that's
Mm,
where I've felt like, I think you just named something important that I felt like is important to name, that whether it's leading in this scenario you're talking about or leading a team of, actual employees or
yep.
board members or whatever it is, like there is an invitation once you're accepting responsibility for what you did or didn't lay out as expectations, like
Yes.
this is not just a continual well, this is where I missed the ball. Now you just, this is always on
Yeah.
on the leader to kind of own everything. There is a point to say, okay, now person being led, there is an opportunity to come along,
Yeah.
um, a choice to be made there too. I think sometimes
Yep.
in this language, sometimes there's a potential to miss, to miss that invitation to come along with,
Yeah. I think the reality is anyone leading other human beings, there comes a point when if we're misaligned and if it's
yeah, yeah,
continual, then like firing people is an art form.
yeah, yeah,
Giving them opportunities to go uh, work and be involved in other spaces and places in the world is is part of life,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's part of leading. But in this scenario, there's it will be on both of us
yeah,
at
yeah.
some
That's really
point.
good.
And for at the moment, it's like I'm carrying it. I
Yeah.
own it, and
Yeah.
I need to be, she says, Brene Brown says, clarity is kind, or clear is
Mm-hmm.
kind. And I need to be crystal clear. And so the miss in all of my reflection on this over the course of whatever this has been, a half an hour, is
Yeah.
that the miss is mine, and the thing that I'll say to give my word to is to think thoughtfully about how it is that I want to frame up a conversation,
Yeah.
and then actually have the
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
That's really good, Chris. I just want to say thanks for, um, thanks for being vulnerable and like giving a glimpse into how this process works. Um, and I think this highlights so well the role that reflection plays in keeping us from doing the things we've always done, or keeping us from doing things that are misaligned with what we've said we want to do and be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and thanks for asking me thoughtful questions to continue the thought process. Like I can ask and answer some of those myself, and then I need you to ask me those questions, right? And
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
power of the work. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's take a little break, and then
let's
I
do it.
have 15 more questions to ask you.
Fair enough.
What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't the challenge in front of you, but the promises that you've made to yourself? At Brimstone Coaching Group, we help teams, businesses, and organizations break through hidden barriers in our Promises Workshop. This is a hands-on experience that helps you and your team identify and replace self-limiting beliefs with purposeful promises that foster growth, confidence, and resilience. You can bring this powerful workshop to your company, nonprofit, or leadership team and start creating a culture of trust, collaboration, and transformation. Visit brimstonecoachinggroup.com to learn more. Hey, welcome back to the Brimstone Coaching Podcast. Again, I'm Kurt, co-founder. This is Chris, my friend and co-founder. Um, Chris, I have another question. I hit you with a lot of
Seriously.
questions.
I
I
mean,
know.
I am going to play role reversal here pretty soon. Okay,
We
one
just
more question. That's it. I'm only giving you one more.
we need those Uno cards, the reverse cards that we
Yeah,
can
we
just
do.
hold up
Yep.
whenever we want to. Um, Earlier in the conversation, you talked about using the transformational equation E plus R equals T as a way to reflect and look at and measure effectiveness of these things
Mhm.
we've been practicing: preferred
Yeah.
promises, identifying the obstacles in our lives. How effective are they actually being? Here's a question: what does effectiveness mean?
Mm. Yeah. It's a challenging
Yeah,
question. Like even in this conversation,
yeah,
the equation has gotten me to my best thinking.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
I think that we if we can think about the encounters we have during the course of a day, and then we reflect on them, um, and did my preferred promise keep me from running over this other person? Yes. Did this preferred promise enable me to show up the way I want to? Pretty much, but I was still stirred.
yeah,
But still being stirred and doing the thing
yeah,
feels like um, effectiveness. It feels like success,
yeah,
right? And so I think
yeah,
it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. But what I would
yeah,
say about just running, uh, using the equation with a wise guide along with me today, that's you, in this process, I think there will be fruit because I was able to assess a situation, the part I played in it, and what I want going forward. And I think
yeah,
that that's super effective. It's far
yeah,
more effective than I don't know, me just kind of uh, mumbling and fumbling and stumbling my way through a conversation because now, I mean, now I have a
Yeah.
plan,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that that will I will be different. I will be transformed, and the way I think about future situations now
Yeah.
like this, it will help to inform presentation. It will help inform the way I relate with other people who are participating in these kinds of things with me.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's highly effective.
Yeah.
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 What would you say?
Can I just say ditto?
Probably not. That's not acceptable.
Yeah,
Your name is not Rush Limbaugh. He used to say ditto. Sorry about it.
I think, I don't know how to say better what you said about getting to best thinking. I mean,
Mm,
there is a part of me that still has this manufacturing background that really, really just goes to productivity as effectiveness, right?
yeah.
That says, if I'm gonna implement these tools, that like there needs to be some sort of tangible increase in productivity, whatever productivity is.
Hmm.
And I think that's true that those things happen. I think the trouble that I keep running into in my own mind is that feels like the outcome of a previous effectiveness, right?
Mm,
A downstream effectiveness. So
sure.
if I can get to my best thinking, if I can get to where I can slow down, stop, and make sure that things are aligned with how I want to be,
Yep.
that will lead to productivity in whatever sense productivity is. Um,
Yeah.
I you know this, listeners may not know this. My wife and I run a little business where we
Mm.
entertain people
Yeah,
through
you
a
do.
through a game
Yeah.
that we host on the weekends, and it involves audio video equipment and music. And we, like you, we believe in the audio video has to be excellent. Well,
Yep.
it's audio, it's not video. The sound experience has to be excellent. um and we went to a gig this past
Mhm.
weekend, and we were sound checking our audio equipment, and
Yep.
one of the participants was early. This was a fundraiser. One of the
Yep.
participants was early, and she said to me, "Boy, I hope it's not going to be super loud. We're all going to get headaches." And like like we are loud. We are
Yeah.
we are loud.
Yeah.
Um, so immediately I'm stirred up, right?
Mm. Yep.
Immediately. If if I wasn't able to get to my best thinking and say like, well, this woman doesn't define our
Right.
success, right?
Yeah.
This woman does not speak for the entire world.
No.
This woman that says that I am perceiving her to say you suck, she
Mm.
is not speaking for the entire world to say you
No.
suck.
Right.
Nor
Yeah.
does she hold the right answers to actually mean that I suck.
Mhm.
Um, that best thinking allowed me then to continue to be excellent that night.
Yeah.
Right. That is productivity.
Yeah.
Um, I think if I left that
Effectiveness.
step
Yeah.
out, yeah, if I left that step of like, no, this woman does not speak for the entire world. This woman does not have some hidden truth about my
Yep.
sucking. If I skip that step, I'm not going to be effective. I'm not going to be productive in the way that I want. So I think I continue to have this clarity that gets clearer as I age and clearer the more work that I do,
Yeah.
that says effectiveness really is about, are those tools and practices stopping me, and in your words, I can't say it better, allowing me to get to my best thinking.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. So
if
as you
if
reflect on the entire evening, so that happened pre-event.
Yeah, 30 minutes pre.
Yeah. Yep. So you had 30 minutes to regroup, think through, uh, do whatever you do when that happens. I have what I do, and which we aren't
Yeah.
talking about. I've already talked about. Um, but the rest of the evening,
Yeah.
what would you say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the next 10 minutes after that comment, my I'm just going to be vulnerable because this is a vulnerable space.
It is.
My immediate response, like in the moment, because it took me so off guard,
Yeah.
my immediate response was like, well, you're not our people. Like you're not the people we're trying,
Yeah.
like I'm trying to justify why
Hmm.
what she said
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Right.
Right. Yep.
I wasn't trying to get clear on what's true. I was trying to like take
Yeah.
away the power of the words.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
Which is different than getting to what's true.
Yeah.
Um, after about 10 minutes, I could
Yeah.
I could
Well,
get to the place.
villainizes the other person for a few minutes, right? It's I'm trying to get rid of the words, but what I
Yeah,
heard you
yeah,
say is, well, you're not our people.
right, right. It takes away the credibility, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then I think shortly after that, there was a realization of what's true, and what's true is that that we are not everybody's cup of tea, and that we
Right.
have standards, and we have,
Hmm.
like you said, we have
Yeah.
ways that we try to be excellent, and it's okay that she
That's
doesn't
right.
like it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
and we, I got to a place where I said, what's true is that I'm really good at this, and
Hmm.
I'm going to show up the way that I know how to show up,
And you did.
and I did, and I did,
Good.
and
Yeah.
I'm not sure what she thought about it.
Hmm.
Um, I it wasn't going to change
Yeah.
how I showed up.
Open to feedback you can share,
Yep.
but we also have mission, vision, and values that we operate by. You
Yes.
and Amber have a sense of mission and vision related to that event, and you, despite hearing, uh, we're able
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
in relatively quick time, move past it. Now,
Yeah.
if you are to reflect further, like 10 years ago, do you show up the same way? I mean, is the night still a success? Uh,
No. Well, I mean, I think maybe to the
or
out, like to
as
your,
successful? Yeah.
I mean, I think to your point earlier, maybe to the outsider, yeah. I
Yeah.
think to your point earlier, internally, no,
No,
because I
right.
think I would have either like, you know, I would have been ignoring this person, or I would have been like
Yeah.
going extra hard trying to get this person to have fun.
Yep.
This
Yep.
person would have consumed my attention 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yep. To the
And
detriment of the other 5,000 people who were there. Yeah.
yes, yes. And,
Yep.
I think what's true to your point, like there are stakeholders that feedback
Hmm.
is valuable. Um, for the listener's sake, there's a lot of these people that we interact with that we see once. These are not
Yeah.
repeat people, but there
Yep.
are repeat stakeholders, if I can use that word, that
Hmm.
that we would absolutely hear feedback and say, "Oh, we thank you. Like
Yeah.
let's
Yes, sir. Yeah.
keep this improving." But
Yep.
yeah, anyway, all that to say, I think effectiveness for me, as I get clear, is connected to best thinking. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I can say it any better than how you said it. I think it's really good.
Mm. Well, and I think that the example is really helpful, that you just gave. Uh, and what would you say? Um, so I think early on I heard you say, that there, and you put yourself in the shoes of other leaders who
Hmm.
engage in this kind of work to say, okay, um, I had an encounter and I reflected on it, and this is how I'm different, and now I'm good. Uh, how likely are you to continue to reflect on encounters like the one that you just reflected on, uh, regarding the event that you just had, and this person says stuff like, so there's some effectiveness and there's some productivity even in engaging the process. How likely are you to like continue to do that work?
Super likely. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point in our work together, I think I think it's so clear that continuing the work is the only way to stay
It is
aligned.
the only way to stay
You know,
aligned. Yeah.
um, what's true is um, that I can name how I want to be, and practice that even for a short amount of time. But
Yeah.
the old ways are so ingrained that at a moment's notice, right? At
Yes.
a moment's notice, it can go back. So I think
Hmm.
the reflection piece in terms of like are these tools being effective? Reflection
Hmm.
is the only way that I can do that. I mean,
Yeah. Yep.
I just I'm not willing to go. I mean, we revert. Like we have moments where we revert, right? That this is the work. We're not perfect,
Yeah.
like you said. I don't want to imply that I'm not ever, going back to the old ways for
Yeah.
a time, but I'm just not willing to live there anymore, right?
Yeah. That.
Um, yeah, I'm not willing to live there. So if I'm not willing to live there, then for me, I need to keep reflecting to say,
Yep.
am I living there? And
Yep. Yep. Then I
maybe
need to
that's
keep. Yeah.
oversimplifying, but
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. Right. They say, I'm not sure who they are, but they say the transformation has a half-life or a
yeah,
shelf life, right? And
yeah,
so that's why the practice, the equation is necessary. Burn it into your brains, kids.
yeah,
Encounter plus reflection
yeah,
equals transformation. And
yeah,
the leader, if you're not continually being transformed, like, I don't know, I think, we've said this over and over again, but then we are the lid to
yeah,
the organizations or the systems, the teams, the boards, the committees that we lead.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so understanding the work, understanding the equation, and actually carving out time to reflect is the way.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm so present to what you said earlier about, creating a way for you and this other person in your story to feel successful. I mean, I think that's such a great example for leaders of any type of organization. And I think what feels true is that you or Mr. Mrs. Leader, whoever's listening, I,
Mhm.
I think we can do that once. We can do that once. And there's always a danger that busyness keeps us from doing it again, or busyness
Yeah.
keeps us from reflecting back, or busyness or deadlines, or this perceived like I have to keep my foot on the gas. There's always this temptation that keeps us from reflecting and saying, am I going to do this next time? Am I still doing this? Am I still
Yeah.
creating ways where this other person feels successful? Am I still finding ways to accept what's mine to accept? Right.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's how I would wrap up the whole thing, is to say
Mm.
there's so many opportunities for leaders to set this aside in favor of all the things that feel like they're
Mhm.
productive, or
Right.
more important. And I mean, I think you and I have said over and over, I'm not sure there's anything more important than our own
I don't
growth
think
and our own
so either.
transformation.
No, I don't think so either. So if somebody is hearing and they're sitting and listening to this today and they're saying, huh, yeah, encounter plus reflection, I need help reflecting. Even if they've experienced it, like how do they get in touch with you or with us for the sake of engaging the transformational equation, the
Yeah, the
being
easiest
transformed? Yeah.
Yep. The easiest way is our website, brimstonecoachinggroup.com. There are buttons all over our website that say schedule a call. We offer one-on-one inquiry calls that are 100% free, no cost, no obligation, with both you and I separately, either you or
Mhm.
I.
Yep.
And really what we hope for is that people will take advantage of that free call, and that might be a time where they can evaluate and say, hey, Brimstone's a good fit for what I'm feeling and
Yeah.
where I feel stuck. Or maybe, hey, you know what? I need help in a different area, and that's okay too. We want people to find their people. Um,
Yeah. Right.
we hope that it might be us, and we also know it might not be. But that inquiry call is a place for people to say, how can Brimstone help me raise the level of my lid in my
Yeah.
organization?
Yeah. It's really helpful. We hope that you will join the growing number of people engaging in this transformational work.
Yeah.
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 Thanks for the conversation today, Kurt.
Yeah. Good to talk.